too, so I can monitor what's going on. Alright. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. Everything sound okay? Okay. I'm trying the phone today. Alright, welcome everybody. I think this works a little better in terms of the quality. Of course, we're still finding a rhythm here, so we'll figure out, what works best and how to set everything up. Okay, thanks for joining. I'm going to see if there's any questions so far. Alright, Andreas. Which left-hand pattern is the most versatile one in order to play boogie woogie piano? Most versatile, I think the walking bass is probably the most versatile because you can play it for a number of different styles, genres, and keys. Of course, it's one of the harder ones to learn. And getting the walking patterns and things under your fingers takes a little bit longer than, say, something that just stays in one place. All right, let's see. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. All right, got a couple people from the UK, and thank you, guys. Fabio, tell us something about the tremolo. Wait, you mean my last two videos weren't crystal clear? Let me know what you want to know. Let's see. I use it a lot. Some people call it a trill, some people call it a tremolo. I mean, I don't care. Call it whatever you want. Trill is usually for two adjacent notes. Tremolo is when the interval is a little bit bigger, like a third, or in this case, a bunch of notes. It was used, it's usually used in sort of a break setting in terms of boogie, like Pine Tops Boogie, where you're playing along. Just to break. It's kind of, so on piano, right, we can't sustain notes, really. They just, as soon as we play them, they start decaying. Whereas a wind instrument could sustain, or a violin where you continuously bow. So this is the closest thing we can do. I got? Okay. What's the best way, what's the best way to differentiate improvisation? I'm stuck, oh, you mean to vary your improvisation? I've been stuck on a common theme and want to break out. So improvisation, the way I teach people to do it is, first of all, you got to understand that improvisation is not using things that you've never played before. Improvisation is not making things up from scratch that have never entered your mind before. That's why people who improvise a lot, like jazz musicians or blues musicians, they practice a lot. They practice their licks, they practice their scales in the keys that they want to use them in, so that they don't have to think about how to execute it. When the time comes and they tune into what they're hearing in their head, I mean, that's the way I kind of always feel it, is that when I can step back and listen to my playing as if I'm listening to somebody else play it on the radio or something, then I can kind of guide, what do I want to hear this person play? And the more you try to get in touch with that zone, the easier it's going to get, till you can do it in front of other people. First be able to do it by yourself, alone. That's when, because when you're improvising, you're kind of the most vulnerable. You're trying things out. You're trying to make an honest outward expression of what you feel. So, first of all, understand that. Understand you're going to be using things that you have practiced. Like if I practice this, something like that, like the lick, right? Maybe I've practiced a few different ways. So I don't have to worry about how I'm going to do it when the time comes. And as you're practicing it, you end up playing it hundreds of times. So it becomes kind of an earworm in your own head. So you're hearing it all over the place. So you might practice putting it in different situations. Like, you might not always land it. Like, what if I went, okay, maybe that didn't turn out the way I wanted. But I don't necessarily stop and say, I can't do this. I just keep trying until I get it. It's a lot of trial and error. Okay, so I've been practicing. So there, I put it over. I started playing a 12-bar blues with the left hand. I can hear how it's going to sound in each of those locations. All right, so that's the second thing you got to understand, is that by practicing a certain lick over and over again, it's going to become part of your own internal dialogue. When you hear other people use it, you're going to know exactly how they used it. All this accumulates and becomes part of your vocabulary. So you can say, oh, he used it right there, that's interesting. Or maybe they used it in a break, like... and so I can use it like that. So that's the second thing. The third thing, if you already know some licks, and like you said, you're stuck on the same thing, take the licks that you know out of context. So if you know two songs, let's say I know Honky Tonk Train. And I know Pine Top's Boogie. Okay, those are two pretty standard boogies that a lot of my students learn. one lick from one song and use it in the other song, just for fun, okay? That's gonna get that lick out of context. That's a big deal. When you learn songs, sometimes people tend to think about this lick belongs with that song, only that song. But that's not the way that the composers thought about it. If you listen to all of Meadlux Lewis's recordings, all of Albert Hammond's recordings, all of Otis Spann's recordings, whatever, you're gonna hear they keep going back to the same 5 or 6 licks over and over again. Those are the little earworms inside their head. Those are their signature licks. And they might use them in different places. They use them as they want. Okay, so that's kind of an improvisational approach as well. So let's say back to I'm gonna take this from Pine Tops Boogie, I'm gonna put it into Honky Tonk Train and see how it sounds. So that's this left hand. I played the Honky Tonk Train the way it normally is. So now that I've practiced that, I'm going to try to throw that lick in there. And you have to do it consciously at first, especially if you're stuck in a rut. Okay, you have to do it consciously. Eventually it will become unconscious. So let's try it. Here's Honky Tonk Train. First time I've ever done that, honestly. I've never thought to do that. So was I improvising? Maybe. I think it's better to plan out, especially as a beginning improviser. You kind of start charting out things you want to do. Like I consciously planned to put that lick in there. And I did. Now I see how it feels. Now I have more confidence. I'm putting in any damn song I want. Chicken Shack. Okay, so to everyone else, it's going to sound like I'm just throwing in what I want, and maybe I'll never do that again, or maybe I liked it so much I'm going to do it every time. But that sort of experimentation, if you leave yourself open to it and consciously make an effort to put that into your practice, that's really going to help. Good question. All right, let's see. Who else we got here? Oh, it scrolls down. Oh boy. All right, I just got a super chat. Thank you from Boogie, Blues, and Classical Piano. That's good to know that that button is working. Why don't we all just test that button out for a minute, make sure it works. If you want to send me like $2 or $5, let's just make sure that button works for everybody. You know what? Let's just leave nothing to chance. Just send me $50. Everybody, just send me $50. Should be fine. I'll let you know if I get it. I know, some of you guys don't know me in person. You don't know my sense of humor, but I'm joking. But feel free to do it. Okay, let's see. All All right, thank you guys for joining. This is really cool. Let's see, from UK, Stephen, Mark and Blues. Hi, nice to be here. All right, awesome. Let's see. Randall, all right, asking about the triplets. That's a good question. You know, I actually have a video about how to play triplets. And you don't even need a piano to practice. You can practice this when you're in your car, when you're on the train, when you're on the bus, when you're watching TV. Basically, I'll sum it up for you. The triplets are we're talking about eighth note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's where the swing eighth note is derived from. So with a straight rhythm, like a 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, you're not going to find triplets naturally occurring. It's going to be real forced and it's not going to fit. But if like a swing, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and then you've got half of Fats Domino's catalog. Triplet into basically anything, a lot of the licks, like let's take that Pine Tops lick. Now normally that's eighth notes, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. I can add triplets. Triplets are everywhere, except for in straight eighth note music. So definitely worth practicing. But check out that video that'll teach you how to practice tapping like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. You can see how the first and the last triplet line up with the swing eighth note in the left hand. Good question. Okay. Please check the link for PayPal donations. Yes, thank you, Gabriel. I fixed the donation link on some of the videos. It was, I don't know why it got messed up, but it should be fixed now. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Any little bit helps. How to approach Boogie Woogie, a Boogie Woogie song. Which ones are good for beginners and intermediate? Andreas, all right. Boogie Woogie songs that are good. So my students usually learn, if you're a really beginner, a nice 12-bar blues to learn is the Chicken Shack. You can put it in any key. We usually do it in G. It's a nice 12-bar melody, and then you can expand it in the middle by putting in your own licks or improvising, play the melody again and end it. So for real beginners, we usually start with that one. And then the fives is also a good one, at least the version that most people play nowadays. That's not a 12-bar, but it's like a 10-bar blues. It's pretty... Boogie is also a classic, and it's not too hard to learn. I usually teach those three to beginners, and then once you get a handle on that, also you can kind of simplify some of the versions. These songs, there's usually an original recording, but even the original artist, I really doubt. There's no evidence that they played it the same way, more than once. So little things are going to be changed if you hear take one, take two, take three of the same song. That's going to be a little different. In some cases, completely different. And then sometimes you might hear the exact same song. I think, like, for example, Jimmy Yancey's State Street Special, he's also recorded it under different names. I think one of them is called Lean Bacon or something. It's the same exact song. So who knows? Maybe they had a record deal and they were trying to get a recording with another person, so they had to change the title, or all kinds of reasons. But yeah, so I would start with those three, and then maybe Jimmy Yancey is very difficult in terms of the rhythms, but harmonically you can get kind of a version under your fingers of Yancey's Special. That's not too hard. But if you're trying to play it exactly like him, it can be very, very hard, because his kind of poetic genius was to change the rhythms of the same phrase. Like, so I'm going to play that lick over again. So it's maybe the same notes, but they're like shifted this way, shifted that way. And then there's really no reason you can't just learn any song. There's no real, there's certain ones that are harder or more involved or take more physical endurance. Like Honky Tonk Train takes a lot of endurance with this left hand. Boogie Woogie Stomp goes through 4 different left hand patterns. But most of the boogies are, once you get a few under your fingers, you can do things like Swanee River. I consider that maybe an intermediate song. Yeah. And then see what happens. You'll get there. All right. Why did you buy a Yamaha, not an old style? Yamaha uprights like this U1 they last forever, and they're really great quality. Steinway uprights, I've got friends that work in higher level positions at Steinways, and they say Yamaha uprights are preferable. Now, if you're talking about $100,000 for a nice Steinway piano, yeah, but that's the reason I don't have one. Let's see. All right, great to see you guys. Billax, Weil, Ben Ziegler. What are your favorite practice routines for internalizing walking bass with octaves? That's good. Left-hand independence with walking bass. So with the walking bass, there's two ways that I recommend practicing the walking bass, because there's two things going on. Like if you've ever studied physics, when they try to chart the trajectory of a flying object, there's two planes, at least basic 101 physics. You've got the horizontal and the vertical motion, and those things together are changing. Same thing with the left-hand walking bass line. You've got this motion, the actual movement horizontally. And then you've got the rocking motion. Now, I think this one is probably the one that I would train first for independence. You guys are familiar with my hand independence exercise. It's all over the place. and several YouTube videos have it. You can just look up my name on YouTube and Hand Independence. You're going to get quite a few videos. For the walking bass, I would start with this. The Hand Independence exercise. 2, 3, 4. Start with whole notes, and then half notes, and quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if you're not playing too fast, like I am, you do triplets. Make sure you can do those simple rhythms first, and then get a little boogie rhythm. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Maybe do it in a 12-bar blues. So, and then start putting your licks with it. It's fun even like that. You can start to really jam out, and you'll see kind of a fun thing I used to do as a teenager, and still now, I guess. You can use your licks and just kind of like walk around the different notes. If you want to use the C minor blues scale notes, that can sound kind of like classic rockish. Fool around like that. And then I would practice this. I had always advised people, which they hardly ever listen to me, but practice this separately so that your hand can, your arm, this is not even your hand. Going like this is just your arm. So if you get this, and your arm knows the distances, you got no problem. Also get your eyes away from it as soon as you can. Don't be looking at your hand all the time. Your hand should know these distances. And he told me he was good with that. So you're following that pattern, the classic pattern. And then put them together. Okay. All right. I hope that answers it. Hi from Belgium. Manuel, thank you. Mark Edwards, hi. Stephen, hello from England. Thank you, guys. All right, we got another super chat from James. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Tony, thanks for tuning in. Tom, all kidding aside, the donate link below the vid still seems... It's still broken? God dang it. Okay. Can you tell me which video that is, Tom? Because I swear I fixed the first like 5 of them. Just destined to not get any money. It's okay. That's not why I'm doing this. How do you pick your target key when you move? I'm guessing you're talking about Trent, talking about the walking bass line. There's a set pattern. I've got a video on everything you need to know about the walking bass line or something. Check that out. There's already there's like an agreed upon standardized boogie woogie pattern. It just follows a 6 chord, like 1, 3, 5, 6. So if you're in C, that's C, E, G, A. And then from A, you either go up to the 7th, or flat 7th, which is B flat, or you go up to the root, which is C. That's going up to C. That's going up to the 7th, B flat. That's how you choose. And then there's all kinds of transitions and stuff, which I talk about in the video. But yeah. Let's see. Jeff, thanks to you, I'm hooked on Boogie Woogie. You played the guitar when you were younger. Welcome to the, you know, thanks, Jeff. Ooh, love to see somebody play a stride left hand in the boogie rhythm. Yes, Xavier. Well, stride and boogie rhythm, you gotta define what you mean by boogie rhythm, because usually boogie, one of its other names in the past has been 8 to the bar, which means there's 8 notes in the bar, aka you're playing eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So stride is kind of an oompa rhythm. It's quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left hand hits a bass note, jumps up and plays a chord. Hits a bass note, chord, bass note, chord. So there are no eighth notes in stride. So unfortunately, that's why when you use them, it's a cool contrast. You know, like if I'm going. Wasn't very well executed, but you can see that there is a contrast. Also, my ring is about to fall off. All right, so you can see, and actually, while we're on that topic, it's a good idea to take your left hands, you know, make sure you can switch back and forth. That further kind of opens your mind. Left hands don't just go with one song. I could play Swanee River. You know, a lot of people do this. I can play with any left hand I want to, and so can you. That's a good idea, just to try. See if you can play a song that you know, like Swanee River, with a walking bass line. It'll give a different feel to it. Yeah, I don't need to keep doing examples. You guys know what I mean. Randall, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Randall. Adam, that question, sorry, I think I skipped some. Jeff, the thing I find difficult is starting the lick number 1 on the right beat or note. Yeah, this is the great thing. I'm just gonna do a couple more questions here. We'll have to meet up next Sunday. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Try to do this a short weekly thing, and I won't get to everybody's question, but I'll try to get to most of them. As you see, like when you ask me a question, there's always a lot to say. But that point, that, you know, which beat do I end up on? That's easy to answer just listening to it, counting, find out. I think there should be even one of my students in the UK made a transcription of that Mega Shredder video, the last thing I do. So you could look at that and just see where does it end up. But more importantly, to answer your question, knowing what beat you want to end on, I think that's really the key. It's kind of a new theory I've been developing for the last year or so, just thinking about it while I'm teaching people. There's really something to it, because to be honest, I don't think about, when I'm doing, you know, or some just blah, 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 blah notes, I'm not thinking about all the notes. I don't even think about them at all. I don't even know what I'm doing. It takes me forever to slow it down and go, wait, what am I actually doing? Because I practice things like I put out in the videos. I practice those, you know, enough times that my hands don't have to worry about how to execute it. But what I am focused on is where I want to end up. And I know for sure that you cannot go wrong if you end up on beat 1 of the next bar, or 2 bars later, whatever, however long you want to continue your run, but you got to end up on a beat 1, a downbeat of a measure. You don't have to, but that's for sure is going to sound good. And what I find, let's take it, so I don't know what key you guys are it doesn't matter what key we're in. Let's say we're in A. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to let it rip. I don't know what beat I'm starting on. I don't think about it. I kind of feel it, but I don't think. I don't know how many notes I'm going to play. I don't know how far I'm going to come down. But I know that when I get to beat 1, I'm going to end up on a C sharp. Because that's the major third of the 1 chord. And usually if you're doing a run like that, it's like you're in some sort of chord changes where you're about to go back to the 1 chord. That's also a sure way to make it sound good. If you're going back to the 1 chord, everybody puts it there. There's other places you can put it, but if you want like a surefire formula, start somewhere when you're going to the 5 and heading back to the 1. And when you get to beat 1, when your left hand changes back to the 1 chord, you got to be on the major third in the right hand. So if I'm on, so let's say I'm in A, I'm on the 5 chord now. That's E. I'm going to go to D. I want to hit that C sharp when I get back to A. Okay, see, so I ended up here. I had a C sharp and an A. Nice little A chord. Okay. Let's do a different one. So you see I had to scoop in it right away. That's because I know I want to be there on beat 1. So if I could get there early, and you'll hear if I get there early, I have to kind of wait and then resolve it. If I get there late, like just right at the last minute, the door's closing, boom, I made it. I might be midway through something, but I'm just going to abandon it and get there. Now I got to go too early. Yeah. See? So I waited, and then 1. See, you gotta get there on beat 1. If you just want to be safe, I'd say practice that first. Whatever your run is, it might be something simple. Just practice getting to that major third on beat 1. Okay. Often it doesn't matter, especially, with this string of notes thing, which usually I like, but I also don't like it when it's used too much, but then I end up using it too much just because I think it's so much fun to play. But it all makes sense if you end it on beat 1. Okay, that's the most important thing. You do that, can't go wrong. There's other places you can end it, which you'll figure out, but start with beat 1. All right. Wow, thank you guys. Thank you, Dave, Frank, Ward. All right, Ben, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. That button is working. Thank you guys. It encourages me to do this more, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Let's see. Oh no, Tom said it's not working for him. Everything was sounding okay for most of you guys, hopefully. Let's see. Glad you guys, Adam, you're learning Tibetina. That's awesome. New Orleans piano improvisation, same thing. Just improv is improv. Just listen to, get some repertoire under your fingers. Get some songs, some licks, practice them, put them in different keys. Take those licks, put them in a different song. A lot of New Orleans stuff has this kind of straight rhythm. That's the simplest. It's not simple, but it's the simplest, like, New Orleans left hand, I think. That's what I started with. That's what I started with. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put that. So, like, let's say you're learning Tibetan, right? You got these licks. Let's take it to C. Go back to Swanee River. You can use some of your Tibetan licks. Change the left hand, that alone is usually enough to inspire people to hear things differently. Because you change the whole phrasing of the melody, you change the rhythms, you change the chord changes, but you can still migrate those licks. So just open your mind, guys. Don't stay with one song one way. No one has done that in the history, I guarantee you. All the recording artists, the old guys we listened to, they would play the same song in different styles. They could play it in different keys. They could play it fast. They could play it slow. They could use any of their licks in any song. And that's the way we think about it. We're not trained. I was never trained to read music. I didn't figure it out, but I learned later, much later. And I still am not great at reading music. But this music is kind of an oral tradition. That's the way I was always taught. People showed me left hands. They showed me right hands. And then I figured out how to put them together. Just by listening and imitating, it takes a lot of work, but you imitate, try to make it sound, play along with recordings. Can't emphasize that enough. I used to sit in the basement as a kid when we had this old piano my mom got for free. And I'd put on the blues recordings, and I was taking lessons at that time from a really wonderful player in Washington, D.C., and I would try to match whatever left hand I knew. I'd try to apply it to the song, even if that didn't go, or even if the piano player wasn't playing that left hand. If I knew this, that's what I was going to play, and I tried to play along with old recordings, and I'd do that for hours and hours, a lot. And then when we moved, I didn't have a teacher for years. And it was just a lot of me figuring stuff out. and you can do it too. You know, I don't have a great, I wasn't born with perfect pitch. I wasn't, you know, trained as a piano player. I started piano when I was 9, and nobody in my family played music, no one in my household. And, you know, it's just something that drew me to the music, and so if I can do it, you guys can do it. All right. Thank you, guys. Josh from Jazz Library, thank you. Tom, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Great to see you. I am going to have to run here a little, like 15 minutes. So I'm trying to keep this to a half hour or so. But I really appreciate it. And this video will be online. If there's anything I talked about or demonstrated you guys want to know more of, you can re-watch the video, you can leave some comments. And I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I was thinking if there's some way I could come with one topic I want to discuss. We might not need it because a lot of you guys are asking questions, which is great. But I could maybe schedule these and say which topic I'm going to talk about or topics, or maybe if you guys send questions in advance, but not yet. Don't do that yet because I don't know how to manage that just yet. But hopefully I got to most of your questions, and I will see you next Sunday at the same time. Thank you guys, really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you. I really enjoy doing this.